Hey guys, welcome back to the NRL Fantasy Scout YouTube channel. It's Artemis here, and today's video will be a condensed version of the Wing Fullback podcast that we released yesterday, and it's our final positional analysis video that will be uploaded for the preseason. So if you want to listen to our full podcast, see all our thoughts and opinions, make sure you head over and watch the full podcast, which is available on Spotify and on YouTube. Just before we kick things off though, we do have a few more videos coming out. One should actually be coming out tomorrow, where we look at players that the team believe that coaches should avoid, and there's actually quite a few players that have quite high ownership as well, so that will be an interesting one to watch out and look out for. And also the next podcast we'll be looking at the team lists for Vegas, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So the first player to kick things off for this video is Reece Walsh, who actually has pretty high ownership at 32%. And the only other wing fullbacks that have higher ownership is Faalogo, who we'll talk about later on in the video, and Makasini as well. He is priced at 654k, a little bit cheaper than what he started in price last season. But last season, we all know the sort of start he had. He had a very poor start, dropped in price to around 450k at one point, but towards the back end of the season, he consistently put up 50-point scores and became a must-have, really. It was interesting to see though that once Adam Reynolds did get injured, Walsh's form picked up. He had a lot more involvement in kicks, in general attacking play as well, and he also did have goal kicking duties too for quite a few games as well. So with Reece Walsh, we feel that there's a couple things to consider. First, how did Brisbane start the season? Do they start how they ended off last year? Or do they start similar to the beginning of the last season, where they started off pretty slow and then started to pick things up during the middle of the season? And the second thing as well is, with Reynolds fit and we expect him to start the season, does Walsh have the same involvement that he had without Reynolds in the team? And will he keep the same form that he finished off at the back end of the season? For me personally, same with the other boys, with the first question, I feel as if Brisbane will start off quite slow and then pick things up again towards the middle of the season. And with the second question, I feel Walsh will have more involvement in the game. I think he'll have his moments where on one or two attacking plays he will really step up, throw a pass where maybe one of the wingers makes a line break. I don't think that he will have as much involvement as he did last year without Reynolds, but that's just our opinion. At the same time, we wouldn't talk you out of starting with Reece Walsh, but none of the boys, I feel, are starting with Walsh. Not too sure about Serhan, but I definitely know Connor and Sanjay aren't, but we feel that he'll probably drop in price to start the year, and then he'll become a must-have. Now we're moving on to Dylan Edwards, who is probably our most favourite premium winger. He had a slightly down year last year. When Penrith were losing to start the season, he wasn't scoring well at all. He did also have a couple of HIA affected games, and that's the reason why he's priced at 48.3 and his price is 614k. Penrith did have an halves issue. They were still figuring out who was going to partner with Cleary, but once they figured it out, and I think it was from round 14, round 15 where they started their winning spree, with Talagi and Cleary in the halves, Edwards averaged 59 points, so 10 points above what he's priced at. There were a couple games where he did get the goal kicking duties as well. He bumped up his price, but regardless, we feel there's around 5 minimum points of value on offer. If we also remove the 2 games where he had under 70 minutes last year, he averaged 50.9. So there is definitely a couple points of value on offer. If you don't want to start with someone like Reece Walsh, it's a little bit risky. Dylan Edwards is probably your next premium winger. We're definitely trying to get him in our team. I know Connor already has him, but yeah, we're very high on him. Another player that we're actually very high on is Brighton To'o as well, and we feel he's a massive pod. Similar to Edwards, we're predicting him to have a bounce back year. His strike rate was actually the lowest of his career to date at just 0.4 tries per game, which is actually insane. And his average, I think, was the lowest it's been since 2022 as well. So Penrith, we believe that they'll be a lot more settled compared to last year to start the season. And with that, To'o's numbers should increase as with Edwards, but we already talked about him. How much they increase though will determine whether he's worthwhile. But at this option, we feel that he is a nice pod, and we're very keen on him. If you don't want to spend that much on Edwards, and you want to get a Penrith winger, To'o's your boy. Jye Gray is the next player we'll be taking a look at. Finally, he's got that fullback spot for South. He was always in and out of the team when Latrell Mitchell was injured, and he's a player that I feel you had to have playing, and you had to make a position for him. I feel fullback was always his position, and Latrell moving to centres, I feel is a very good move for Souths. In general, for Souths, we're very high. There's a lot of expectations for them to do very well. And with Jye Gray at fullback, we project him to score around 45 points, meaning there's at least 5 points of value on offer. The only thing that is putting us off is that round 4 bye. So a lot of people like myself have David Fifita and Brandon Smith in their teams, and having Jye Gray in your team means that you're only going to have one backup player in the emergency. So it kind of depends on the setup of your team, and if you are willing to take the risk for round 4 and either have only that one backup player, or in case there's an injury, have no backup players at all. So it really just depends on your team setup, but definitely he's a nice pickup. Definitely value on offer as well for him. Now the next player we'll be looking at is Savelio Tamale, and he's been a player that quite a few people have been talking about this year actually, and there's a few reasons why. Firstly, he was a great cash cow last year before he got injured though, but due to his injury we are already getting a slight 2-point discount, being priced at 36.8. But it is his second year in the NRL, and normally we don't see the best of wingers until their second season. So hopefully that's the case with Tamale, and I'm sure it will be. He's like a replica of Brian To'o. But there is also rumours of Ethan Strange moving to the right side, and that could benefit Tamale a lot, because Sanders is more of a passing half, as opposed to Strange, who is more run the ball player type. But it is those reasons that we do like Tamale. Will we be starting off with him? Not too sure, but he's definitely a nice mid-range option. Our next player that we'll be looking at is our highest owned wing fullback in the game, like I mentioned earlier, Sualauvi Faalogo, sitting at 41% ownership. To be honest, I'm surprised it's not a bit higher, but it's clear to see why he's a great fantasy option. He's priced at 37. He already averages 41 points when playing fullback. There's 4 points of value off the bat already. And in those games that he played fullback, pretty sure in less than half of those games he got attacking contributions where there was a try or try assist. And having the full preseason at fullback, we expect his attacking output to skyrocket really. We expect him to have around, or to average at least one attacking contribution a game. I don't know if that expectation's a little bit unrealistic, or if we're just being optimistic. But if this does happen, you're looking at a mid-ranger who's got at least 10 points of value. So he's definitely a must-have. Right, so the next player we're going to take a look at is Selwyn Cobbo, and this is actually a very, very interesting one, because he does have 13% ownership, which is pretty high. But the scout team don't find the appeal to him at all. I will be honest though, I did have him in my first team draft, but he hasn't been in since. Now, there has been a lot of talk, especially who's going to get that fullback role and how the back five will shape up. It's been confirmed that Hammer is starting at fullback, meaning Fuller will drop out of the side. That's what we think. Cobbo, we expect to partner with Herbie, and Herbie, I'm pretty sure, did come out and say that he wanted Cobbo to play outside of him, whether that's until Bostock comes back and Bostock goes straight back into that wing position after he's back from his ACL injury. We'll find out. I think it's round 10 he's expected back, so we'll see. But the reason why we don't find that appeal to him at all is that when Cobbo plays on the wing, he only averages in the 30s, and that's compiled of pretty big scores and then stinkers. So if you think that the Dolphins will score a lot on down his side, there definitely could be value, especially with Herbie on that same side. But on the topic of Herbie, it is important to note that Herbie loves to run the ball, and we expect a lot of that this year. Pretty much it happened last year as well, but we expect the same, if not more, considering how dangerous he was. And the question is, will Cobbo get much ball? We don't think so, but if you think that Cobbo will be definitely getting more ball, then there's definitely some value there, especially if he's getting a try a game. Probably not a game, but every 2 or 3 games, or at least attacking contribution. But we recommend avoiding to start the season, but at the same time, we do understand why you'd want to start him. Moving on to the cheapies. So the first one we've got is Tom Chester, who he's priced at 250k and priced at 19.6. He's confirmed to start in round 1 in Vegas. He's unfortunately been injury plagued throughout his whole career, but we expect him to start in center, and when playing as center he averages 37, and he should also get the wing fullback center DPP after the team lists are announced for round 1. And being priced at, or being 250k, he only really needs to score more than 20 to start making money, and he does provide some good coverage for the wing fullback position at a very cheap price. But the only question is job security, and does he retain his spot? Because Labour is suspended for the first 2 rounds, and will Chester make way for Labour once he's back? But also when Vilea is back from injury too, does Vilea slot back in? So job security here is a very big problem. But being only 250k, if you were to pick him and he was to be left out of the team, you wouldn't be losing out on too much, but you can definitely go for a safer option like Setu Tu, who we know will be starting. Perfectly leads me into the last player for this video. So finally he's been added into the game at 230k as well, which is incredible. We know that's pretty much confirmed that he will start on the wing, and the position is his to lose really. When you look at his New South Wales Cup stats, it's pretty impressive for the Warriors. He had 14 appearances last season, scored 13 tries, 2 try assists, and 60 tackle breaks. Similar to Chester, he only needs to score more than 20 points to start making money. He's at 10% ownership at the moment. I only expect that to grow, especially when it comes to Vegas team lists as well. So that wraps up our positional analysis for the preseason. I hope you guys enjoyed our first preseason series. We also appreciate all the feedback you've given us, especially with our mics. So I hope this video is a little bit better. But as I mentioned earlier, we still have another video coming out either tomorrow or day after. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And then we've got our podcast dropping for our thoughts with the team lists for Vegas. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.